And you're right, actually, I just had a conversation, I think last week, with someone who is essentially a direct competitor of me. She does the exact same thing that I do. She does focus on more like high level performance, but I am a huge believer in embracing community over competition.
Right.
Her and I were able to have an awesome communication and talk because we share the geeky love of spreadsheets and all of the things that come with our job. But the world is so big. There's so many customers out there. There's so many fish in the sea. Why, you can't target everybody, get the people that, you like. And even as far as your network goes, that too. I mean, relationships shouldn't have to be a lot of work.
That's true. And when you're mentioning the fish in the sea, it reminds me of an analogy that if you're fishing in the ocean, there's so much space in between each fish, so your success rate is not going to be that great. But when you're fishing in a pond, the space between each one is going to be much closer, and your success rate is going to be higher because you're fishing in a smaller pond in a more isolated area for a more specific target. And so really that's how our businesses should be, is instead of doing deep sea fishing, let's do a little bit of backyard pond fishing and get the ones that really are in our world and not somebody else's world.
That's a really great analogy. The pond is your niche. Instead of, being so broad and saying, I help everybody do this thing because of this. And no, if you target, if you have a specific ideal customer that you can serve the best, then, fish for those people, leave the other ones to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've become known for, a financial planner that works with veteran entrepreneurs. So, I being prior military, I had my experience in the Army. And so working with people who were also in the military, we don't have to go through as much of the bond and rapport because we kind of had that camaraderie. And so, my niche is very isolated, and it's a very small niche because I guess maybe 5% or less. I think the number I heard last was about 3% of business owners are veterans. So I'm really fishing in a pond of 3% of the community. But at the same time, it's very easy for me because I work with that very specific group, and they know that I work with that group, and so the word gets around. Now, when you're thinking about your business and its future, let's look at it maybe from the CEO standpoint for a moment. Are there a few things that maybe you kind of keeps you up at night, as the saying goes? Things about your business that concern you that you think about a lot?
Yes and no. So I mostly do hands-on stuff. It's me coming into a business and strategizing or auditing the business, and then either giving them a do-it-yourself strategy or me doing it for them. So most recently, of course, I'm working towards, time freedom, and especially to spend time with my kids and do other things. So I now literally just like Thursday of last week have started strategizing for some hands-off packages that I can sell in my business.
Sure. But
really that's what's been on my mind most of the time, is just how do I accomplish my goal of the time freedom that I want? Because obviously I can only help, 3 or 4 clients a month with their chaos and stress. So how can I serve more people but be more hands-off and have more time for myself is what's on my mind lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're mentioning something that a lot of people that I speak with, they struggle with also. So I'll kind of ask you to dig in on that a little bit, where you were talking about the hands-on and hands-off approaches in the business, as far as the do-it-yourself versus the you do it for them part of it. Mm-hmm. So how do you juggle that? Do you emphasize the part of I can do this for you because it frees your time, or do you do the reverse to where it's like here's what you need to know in order for you to do that. Keep your costs a little bit lower because you're doing it, and then you can move on to the next client. How do you juggle that?
Well, normally, so I usually have an initial phone call with them if I'm not familiar with them, so that I can judge, like, okay, first of all, I'm not going to sell someone something that they don't need. So someone that is riddled with chaos and stress, that is like a solopreneur or doesn't have a team of people, asking them to do it themselves is it's kind of defeating the purpose of me helping them relieve their stress, because I'm like, okay, here's 27 things that you could do to fix your stuff. But then they're like, oh no, like, how can I continue to do? So, I sell both. I mean, in regards to, to try to keep my costs low, I will suggest that if they can't afford a done for you strategy, I will suggest that they spend a little bit of time or money. Let me hire someone for them that can implement things for them. So they're not, getting the whole giant package of me doing it for them, but I can find a OBM, an online business manager, or a VA to implement things to keep them hands off. But ultimately that's my goal, to relieve stress, to systematize and streamline and automate a lot of things that people are spending. I had a client that was literally on the phone all day and all night on sales calls. And we eliminated like half of his time spent on the phone by just automating a discovery questionnaire. So now instead of spending 2 hours on the phone with someone, they fill out a questionnaire, and then he can cut that time down and kind of cut to the chase. So it really just varies per person. But I try to do what's best for the client. Of course, I like to get paid for what I do. But ultimately having someone's success and mindset is really important to me, to make sure that their mindset stays right. Because if your mind's not right, you're not going to grow or be successful.
That's true. And that's not just something in your world. That's across the industries. That mindset does have so much to play in, and the head trash that comes along with people's mindsets and the things that they're telling themselves that 90% of the time is not true, and it's just a bunch of junk in between the ears. Getting the mindset right is so key.
It's just lies. I actually just wrote something about this, lies that we tell ourselves. So a personal story. So I enjoy crafting and decorating. And I used to every month decorate my mantle in my living room. And for a couple of months, I kept telling myself, I don't have time to do this. I'll do it next month. I was lying to myself. So one day I was actually caring for my nephews and my kids. So I had 5 kids here, and I decorated the mantle. And I was like, holy shit, I've been lying to myself this whole time. If I can decorate my mantle while watching and keeping 5 children alive, I can do this every month. And I'm just making the choice not to do it. But yeah, we lie to ourselves every single day about so much stuff.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. So, listeners, jot that note down, because stop lying to yourself. Do you believe it's important for people to create some sort of strategy for their personal life and their business?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I'm a planner, I'm an organizer. So for me, everything has a plan or a strategy. Even my day-to-day stuff, cleaning my house, or doing laundry, or making dinner, or making plans for that. The more things that I can systematize or organize, the less stress that I feel personally, and then as well as in my business. And so I don't think that people understand the importance of systems or processes in their business or even personal life. So when you actually finally feel the deliciousness of having organization or a system or process, it's like, holy shit, why haven't I been doing this whole time? Like, let me do that with my laundry or my cleaning schedule. So yeah, that's my first thing coming in. Do you have a system? Do you have a process? Do you have process documents? So that's the first thing that I do when I'm coming in to a business, is asking them what type of documentation they have for their business to see how we can streamline things for them.
Yeah, and that's a huge gold nugget that you were mentioning with having the systems and processes. When you mentioned lowering the stress, that's something that I see so often is people are basically taking a trip across the country without a roadmap when they don't have those systems and processes. something I see with my business coaching, and I do it from a financial angle, but people not having that business plan or not having a financial plan for their business, and then they expect to get to year 5 or year 10, with a certain mark, certain goal, but then they really don't know how they're going to get there because they don't have that process, and they're basically just shooting from the hip and hoping that they hit something, when in fact they really aren't even shooting in the right direction.
Yes. I mean, so many times I see now as entrepreneurs, I mean, I feel like we're doers. We have an idea or want to accomplish something. So then we just jump right into it, which is great. I mean, I definitely believe that being passionate about something and jumping into it is a good thing. And that's how you should start doing it. But over time, shit can fall apart pretty quickly. So until you systematize that or even have it written down in paper or, have set goals or strategies in place, you cannot, you'll plateau until you actually have those things.
Sure. Yeah. And your home life in many ways is almost like a business that you must operate it, with some structure. And so, you're mentioning, doing the laundry or even, the family budget, write the thing on a whiteboard. Yes, you can change it, but have it written down because it makes it real and you see it and you stick to it, and it makes it to where you're not thinking about it all the time because you have put it out there and you've made it, in black and white, and it becomes much more tangible when you do those things.
I feel like it allows there to be some structure, especially having small children, knowing that we do this on these days, and this is what is expected of them. Because that's life. You'll always have expectations from somewhere, and, goals and things that you want to try to accomplish. So it's nice. It feels nice to just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. Cool. I got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you have those plans written down, I just mentioning the whiteboard. That's one of the things that I will educate parents on, especially when they have young children, is setting those things. In this particular case, the family budget, for example, putting that on the whiteboard and involve your children. If they're in sports, involve them because the time and the finances are they have a piece of the pie. They've got skin in the game too. And so, involve them early on and let them understand the value of, this month we have this much to work with. And so you have part of this, we have part of this. That's how it's going to play. But we run out at some point. What do we take away in order to do the things that we want or the things that we need? And it's very important, to involve the entire family in those processes.
That's amazing advice. My 6-year-old, I feel like we've just kind of started getting her. She understands, that things cost money and everything that we own or do, does cost money. And, we have certain money allocated for certain things. And, it's okay to spend on this, but not on this sometimes. And it's kind of crazy seeing her head like wrap around those things. Okay, this food that I'm eating, we go to the grocery store, we have to buy it, or even like living in our home, it costs money. And no, I can't really buy that toy because I'm doing this extra. So, sure. No, that is great advice. I think even though she's 6, she gets it. She understands that, we're working to build these things and have these things. And just the other day, she's like, what kind of chores can I do? Because I want to buy this thing. So she understands that she has to, work to earn, certain things. And Absolutely. I don't know, as elementary as we have to make it, at least I appreciate her wanting to clean my toilets to make $5.
Yeah, and children get it. We sometimes don't give them credit for really putting 2 and 2 together, but they get the concept of it, and so it's certainly something to involve them in because they will be a lot more passionate about it when they're having part to do with it, and they know that their parents approve when they've done it. That it's that risk versus reward. You do the thing and then you get the reward for it, and they're going to be happy about having had that part in it.
Absolutely. Growing up, my parents never talked to me about money. We had everything that we wanted or that we needed, and I didn't understand like the concept of bills or even I think in high school I took a class that we had to mock live our life, and we had to pay rent and buy groceries and pay utilities and things, and that was like mind blowing to me because I'm like, you have to pay for air conditioning in your house. Like it wasn't something that was ingrained in me growing up. I mean, I had